Right, we roll into June, and there was issues over certain vaults, and we gave out a warning. And as usual, some people don't listen. And we mentioned about Solomon's gold and other bunkers, and again, the clowns didn't listen to what we told them, and that they cannot access them without dire consequences. And Kim received a call this particular week in June in the East saying some had died or got rare virulent form of cancer or other severe maladies trying to enter the vaults. Again, hello, McFly, we warned you and you still went ahead because you think you know it all and are so much higher and above everybody else. Oops. And then I gave out this warning. Word of warning to all climbers to avoid going up mountains at this time until further notice. The planet is changing rapidly and will not be waiting for people on those places to continue the progress. Shift is happening, but no fear, please. The first week in June, Russia asked for a return of their stolen funds, and that was refused by Kim as they sent all the last batch, like Mnuchin, to China and their fake elders and deep state. And they were also promised a return on it, which again never materialised. And so Kim told Putin to go away very politely or unpolitely, and that she was not sending any more money so that the clowns can send it to the very clowns who stole all the assets off your country to begin with. And the word was put out, Putin needs to get his act together, quit playing a puppet for the Chinese deep state and look after his own people. And you will never be king of the world or pull off your fake RV. Then we gave an update on other beings that are stationed here, and things were going extraordinarily well in the main. A greater understanding is being garnered on both sides, and the biggest development is the understanding of the need to share resources, not kill each other for them, which is a major step forward, in my opinion, towards a united universe. Now, predictably, 2 or 3 are still in the old mindset, and they will pay for not changing. Suddenly, they are a minority who are not calling the shots anymore. Clowns operating on behalf of Chinese dragons have been caught against siphoning oil out of Iran for free, using all kinds of transport, planes, boats, trucks, but also including motorcyclists across the desert. And I'm not talking just a few of them either. There were hundreds of them on the video I was shown. And these motorcyclists are carrying a barrel of oil each on their bikes, and they're being paid $1 a day to do that crap. $865,000 barrels a day for deep state goons. This enterprise will stop. And it did. The rogue Chinese elements, not the Chinese government, this is the Black Dragons, Rothschilds, Rockefeller, Cheney, and the North American Black Dragon leader and other rogue control system clowns, has now officially declared war on the entire planet. The Pentagon are fully aware of what is going on, following detailed interactions with them this week. Further actions were undertaken on the first Tuesday in June, or was it the second one? Second one. That has and will send shockwaves around the world, following China's deep state threats and declaring to start all-out war globally along with their North American dragon counterparts. Actions were undertaken, big actions of defence were undertaken, big actions of countering were also undertaken, and big support in our efforts also arrived and will continue to do so until their threat is eliminated. We are not and will not mess around with you people and or beings, of that I can guarantee. We crushed your upper echelon system, and we will crush your lower minions also. We have the support and the firepower beyond your imaginations. Now, following several more misdemeanors of interference and doing dirty work for misaligned and possessed humans, further actions were taken against the demons, real term the jinns, and also one or two of the races below also who were caught doing work for the clowns. Several thousand were removed on a Monday in June, and certain conditions and actions were put in place on a time-based unfoldment and the consequences thereof should they continue to not comply under the peace treaty. Then we were told dark jinns are now under a total extinction order on this planet. They only have themselves to blame. Then there was a warning of that went out to right across and right around the world, that the Manor World Holding Trust will fade into the background. We are not that desperate to get the funds out to allow you to waste it and play ego, dragons, deep states, family and bloodline games. And the we are more important than anybody else game. You're not. Suck it up. You were used as harvesting agents and you need to get over it. We can and will walk away from the whole planet and return when sanity and common sense prevails only. If you don't believe us, just sit back and watch them. And I repeat it again, we are willing at this juncture to walk away from all interactions, calls, deals or government transfers until you all learn to get your act together. We are not wasting any more of our time on watching you all act stupid. In June, there was a major incident in America, and a post was put up about it, and it barely rendered a comment. Even in alt media. And it was the most flagrant abuse of the American people that was right in your face, and hardly anyone stared on it. And therein lies a lot of our problems, a complete lack of focus or understanding of what is unfolding. So what was the major issue, some are thinking? Trump posted on 11:11 a.m. on the Saturday that Fox was running the outing of the deep state at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that evening. Some very distinguished guests, including a Democrat, saying how the party had lost their way, was also in attendance. But by a massive coincidence, we had another major shooting event around 4 p.m. that day, which brought much TV coverage, and the broadcast was stopped. And where was the outcry? And then we left one show with a final question to ponder. If it's proven that 80 to 85% of the people are possessed, cloned or bots, and they're all non-awake, and you are asked to leave their frequency and leave them behind, including your own family and friends, connections, would you? And I asked you to think long and hard on that answer, as it's not as simple as yes or no. In June, the Treasury requested funds as they are 38 billion in negative equity. Kim sent 40 billion on the proviso that the 2% would be paid also. Now, predictably, the clowns within the Treasury blocked it. So then Mr. Trump issued a presidential order to release the funds, including the 2%. And the blocks stayed on the funds. So Kim pulled the 40 billion back. And Mnuchin was in heated arguments with virtually every government department, all asking where the funds are. But the question remains, at which point do these people not get there is no funds in their system? The only funds is within the trust. And then we read the Cassandra letter, one of the parents of the control system, former control system, the puppets of the Draco. And there was a key line that was overlooked, and I asked people to look at this closely, including the VI versions of them, where Cassandra said, quote, "You had your chances and your perfect world, and when that wasn't enough, we were created to lead you." My response was, yes, you led, Cassandra, and failed in your leadership skills, and near tipped this planet into the abyss. Real leaders guide and support. You played the ego games of we're more important than everybody else. Your leadership sucked, and this is why you're no longer here. It was fine hiding in the shadows, but when the light was shone on you, possibly for the first time in history, you all ran. Leaders, my arse. Then we got a report that nearly 51 million households who don't earn enough to afford a monthly budget that includes housing, food, childcare, healthcare, transportation, and a cell phone, according to a study that was released by the United Way Alice Project. Don't like those last two names. That's 43% of households in the United States, and the figure includes the 16.1 million households living in poverty, according to them. Actually, the real figure is 38 million, not 16. As well as the 34.7 million families that the United Way has dubbed ALICE, Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. This group makes less than what's needed to survive in the modern economy, they said. Alice is one of Hillary's code names and is also name of the former AI. Then we did a follow-up piece. That got some people thinking, and some people scratching their heads, and some people banging their heads. And it said, if it is proven that 80 to 85% of the people are possessed, cloned, or bots, and they're all non-awake, you are asked, would you leave their frequency and them behind, including your family, friends, and connections? Would you? So we said, what is the meaning behind the question? And I described it as multi-layered, and the key was in the last line. It's not as simple an answer of yes or no. So it was put forward, are we going into a rapture-style event, as mentioned in the series 4400, The Leftovers and the film The Knowing? Nobody really knows that answer, but is there evidence to suggest it's a possibility? Yes, the changes in frequency. The out-of-body experiences increase. Phase shifting in and out, glitches in front of your eyes are all events that could possibly lead to that conclusion. Should that event happen in that manner, I want to make it clear, nobody is going anywhere else. No new planet, no different 5D world, departing on ET biospheres, which from my knowledge, those biospheres that were reported in the alt media were all human harvesting plants. But the possibilities with the changes of frequency allows the probability to change what you observe, hear, feel, or sense. There is a possibility that changes in frequency will lead to things disappearing from your view. You will still be in here on this world, but changes in frequency can and do alter visual effects. Think about it from your dream world effect. The place in your dream is very similar so that you recognize where you are, but it's not all the same, is it? Things are out of place. People are in wrong places. Buildings in wrong places. And then you wake up and say, I had the weirdest dream last night. I was in such and such a city, but not with the people from that place. And then I was instantly in another place with changes of frequency. Things can phase in and phase out your perceived existence. That's got you scratching your heads again, hasn't it? Then we had more fun and games, and some people asked me why I do this with only having no life, not being able to travel, and various other abuses thrown at you. And I said in this piece, it's clearly not for the money, as neither Kim or I have been paid to do this. What really drives me and has done since a small child is injustice. The desire to end as much of it as possible, as it's riddled through all aspects of our lives. And it's another wheel that more and more people have to step off and fight it, rather than spinning inside of the wheel, just complaining about it. Now, the key to it all is teaching with a base understanding, and that is what I've tried to do with my shows. Give all people a chance to learn from a base level up. You have to start at base level, as we were all blind, naive, or oblivious to the sheer depth of all that is wrong in all aspects of life. Recognizing things are just not adding up in this world, and what revealed to us is wrong, is only the first step. For many, finding out governments lie and manipulate is the first base. Our members have developed enough to know governments lie and manipulate because they're told to do so. Big difference. They are told by the families and the agencies and dragon groups to lie and manipulate. And yet, as our members have found out, yet sadly those same groups are having great difficulty in believing and accepting is that they were lied to and manipulated also. Oops, shall we say. Then we had Facebook launching Libra cryptocurrency. Oh my. All those people in the alt media who said crypto was bucking the system. And I put out in this piece, I suspect we will hear more on this subject soon. And the up-and-coming Clowns in Panic show kind of shredded that into tiny pieces a bit. And stomped on it and hammered it and everything. Near 2 years after THI exposed that particular group, long before it went viral, Keith Raniere, a self-help guru accused of leading a sex cult that enslaved women, had been found guilty of all charges against him in June. Raniere, 58, was convicted by a jury after a 6-week trial in Brooklyn, New York, and he allegedly oversaw a slave and master system in his group called NXIVM. He was convicted of all counts against him, including racketeering, sex trafficking, and child pornography. Then in the Intel piece, we put out one line. It is suspected Egyptian former leader Morsi, who had gone missing from public gaze, has been removed from public gaze because he's one of Obama's Langley 3 puppets. IBM, IB Marduk, or I was Marduk, was attempting to recreate the birth certificate mortgage program, and it's the latest version of the Hercules, Babylon, Annabelle systems. We told the people it will not work, the same as the repeated attempts to leverage in-ground assets of the world to the Shanghai Exchange. And since we had recently changed the coding language, they are trying to create a new financial system using the same enslavement birth certificate systems. Using what currency? Why, the Facebook Libra. Not quite. And then we did a long piece about student loans. And then we asked the question, why do we have student loans? And it's 1.6 trillion debt as it stands. And many will have not known this fact until it was outed in June. And it's amazing how little Americans know about their own country, of where it matters, and in particular what affects us, who, how and why this loan program was brought in. So who initiated it? The military, under the title of the 1958 National Defense Education Act. The military brought in the student loans. Still want to happy clap them at the airport? Perhaps you'll clap them even less after this next piece. As we put out, wait until people find out more about Hotel California, as it's called. Prisoners of war, or missing in action, they said, being held by the communist, read Zionist, Ra-based cult, Viet Cong. No, they were on American soil in an underground facility being used as lab rats by National Zionists, better known as Nazis, scientists and also other species. As the line in the song goes, you can check out, but you can never leave. Hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans hoping their loved ones arrive home, or they are rescued when they were already home and being used by these MK Ultra based psychopaths. And I posed the question, don't believe me? Fine. Carry on feeding your sons and daughters into the harvesting machine then. All under what is now the frankly ridiculous conspiracy theory that they are protecting your country and its freedoms. You have no country or freedoms. It's all an illusion. Badges for killing people? I, for one, fail to see the honour in that. Honour is in saving people, not killing them. That's the difference between someone who thinks and people who just follow orders, no matter how insane they are. It is, in overview, a total abandonment of our moral duties and obligations as parents to protect your child or children, which the majority have blindly neglected due to the programming of our military. The US military is the be-all and end-all. It's not. It's a death and destruction program that harvests everything up. $889 billion a year to kill and maim people, and hardly anyone says anything. And what is worse, we the people are paying them for the privilege of using our children in that manner. It's fucking insane. United States is a corporation started by the corrupted houses in Vienna, Austria, back in the early 1800s. Check it out yourself. United States is not and never was America. Check out the Congress of Vienna, 1815. Then we had clown behaviour on the media and theatre. The paid actor who looks eerily similar to Huma Abedin, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC, which stands for Agency Operated Clown, did their latest acting role of crying into an empty parking lot on camera this particular month. The parking lot is symbolic of the number of brain cells she has to me. Like I've said, politics, which means many parasites, is all theatre. Then we had the house in Malta, allegedly being sold by the Queen. Wrong. The Crown is selling it. I guess they're running out of funds. The Crown claimed ownership over all of the assets that the Queen once had. The Queen doesn't own Buckingham Palace anymore either. And the Crown give the Queen £2 million per year to keep the palace running, plus expenses for travel. So you want to know why they're struggling for funds? There's your answer. Beneath that particular house in Malta, protected by the Knights of Malta, which is a subsidiary of the Vatican Church, is the Library of Alexandria. Oops. Banks were found to be giving out credit lines to keep clowns going in late June. All banks now stopped from issuing credit lines at all whilst in negative equity. No more credit lines allowed until they bring it up to zero, which if they continue with their current mode of operation is impossible. Banks' situation now expected to get ugly, and it did. Not as ugly as we suspected, but bad enough. Then we had a raft of billionaires spouting shite, no change, no touch with reality, and also Sanders and the paid actor, agency-operated clown, all calling at the same time and sending a message to Mr. Trump to tax them. Does that make any sense? No. Have these people suddenly gained a conscience? Not likely. So why are they saying it? Because of the proposals put forward by the Trust team to end their game of only the poorer being taxed is why. Don't think for 1 second these people suddenly gained a conscience. They have none. And it's just another of their clever plots designed to dupe the public into keeping the IRS in its present format, with the seducement of let's tax the rich. Unfortunately for them, this show sees through their illusion.